I haven't had
Yeah,
any.
yeah.
There it is. Just hit the record button again there, Mike.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Oh, this is what happens when old people collide with technology. It's embarrassing.
Old people
Okay.
and women, step aside. Let the men do the work.
Great. Okay.
No, it's so great to meet you, Mike. I mean, I know we've emailed each other a few times, but
There's two mics here, Chris.
Mike Buchanan.
I think that's
we go way back, me and Mad Cat, from the old school days of HBO.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in such a long time. I just thought maybe you're in my imagination or something.
Yeah, it seems like a whole new universe since 2020, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, but I was speaking to you, Mike Buchanan, because we've emailed each other a few times.
We have.
And I'm sad to say I didn't know who you were before I found out about a few months ago. And I'm like, how have I never heard of this guy?
Oh, you and 99.9% of the people. So no worries. Well, Elizabeth and I just found out about an organization that's been around for 5 years. We didn't know them; they didn't know of us. This is in Wales, for God's sake. It's a funny old movement.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sally was saying to me she couldn't believe she'd never heard of us. And, I said, the thing is, the media do their best to ignore us and not publicize anything we're doing. So,
yeah. Well, I mean,
unless you know where to look.
Yeah. In terms of the print media, it's pretty well the Guardian, isn't it? If it wasn't for the bloody Guardian, I think we'd never be in the print media. We used to get in the BBC.
No, they're our best friends, really, aren't they?
Yeah. The BBC, I'm sure we're on a blacklist now. I don't think we've been contacted by the BBC for at least a year now. And we used to be on fairly, not often, but once or twice a month, either on, either on radio or, sometimes a bit of TV. But now it's just literally nothing. And I recently decided to stop paying my TV license. So that was a joyous day.
Speaking of the BBC, they once gave me an amazing put down to their own propaganda, which is I went on BBC Women, which is unfortunately a real thing, and there was a video that day of someone complaining about if women cook, they're just domestic housewives, nobody cares, they're not given any thanks. Whereas if men cook, they're chefs and they're 5-star, and they'll have Gordon Ramsay's own show or whatever. And I clicked on the video to watch it, and it just came up with a sign that said, "This content is not working right now." And I thought that absolutely sums up feminist propaganda.
I saw a T-shirt motif the other day. Is that true, or did you hear it on the BBC? They have this guy, Chris somebody or other, who's he's their fact checker, and I bet they pissed themselves laughing when the BBC came up with the idea of a fact checker. Just hilarious.
Mm.
There we go.
I remember when I was trying to do when I did it, the red pill screening in Philadelphia, I actually contacted all the local media I could, radio, print, magazine, TV station, and none of them returned my calls. I emailed them, I called them, I did everything I could, and no one had any interest whatsoever.
No. Well, we're in contact with an MP who says, you can't expect mainstream media coverage. Because, I mean, if a journalist was sympathetic about men's issues, they'd never work again. And he said, these people have mortgages, they have kids to feed. It's just fear. It's not that they're disinterested, but anyway, that's something else.
Well, we did manage to get Barcroft interested in us, and it's not exactly a top news media, but it was at least something. Although they did a really good job of making Medusa look bad. Like, they could have cut out certain sections of it, but they left it in to make it look like she's an airhead.
Oh, I wanted to ask Mad Cat, how is Medusa these days? I haven't really seen her a lot.
She's fine. She's trying to shift focus and get a little bit more into modeling.
I remember she wanted to do a calendar for men to raise awareness of men. It was going to be like it was going to be semi-nude women, but with facts about men, you know, so it would be like a picture of a hot woman, and then did you know that men are twice as likely to go to jail for the same crime? There it is, exactly. To be honest, it blew me away with the idea of you know, being so, in one hand, funny, but also serious and generous, and taking things like two different ends of the spectrum that feminists would hate, which is female nudity and facts that disagree with them, and slamming them together as like an ultimate fuck you. I thought it was sheer genius.
I actually came up with the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, my apologies. I thought it was Medusa's because I saw her video promoting it. But either way,
Most
like,
people assume that.
Either way, like you know, all the women that came to be part of that, like, you know, they just immediately became heroes to me. I thought it was incredible.
Well, you know who was in
I haven't
it
heard
is
of them for
Elizabeth.
years. Sorry, I haven't heard of these. These are the calendar girls, so to speak, aren't they? But I haven't heard much about them for a couple of years, if not longer.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
Oh, I love that picture.
Where can I get one for myself?
Well, we're all sold out, unfortunately. Not a whole lot of people showed interest in the second go round, and it's really a logistical nightmare putting one of these together. We've been considering of doing another one, but I was really hoping that my book campaign for Boys and Men's Issues Handbook might have generated enough money so we could like do a photo shoot, which would make it a lot easier to do. But
yeah. No, but I remember that with such fond memories. Just all the women coming together. So hats off to you.
Can I just say that photograph of Elizabeth on the billiard table, on the snooker table? I have a channel I started a month or two back called laughingatfeminist.com, and so we say that was taken in the pool room of the Patriarchy Council headquarters in London, and obviously this is something that feminists would be well advised not to try. You know, so inviting people to put two and two together as to why feminists shouldn't sit on pool tables.
right.
But that, I mean, that the photos from that day are just gorgeous. I mean, so many of them, Elizabeth, aren't there? I know, you know, yeah, I think they're beautiful, really beautiful.
I never even realized, Les, because I didn't see it for myself, the calendar, that you were one of them. Although in retrospect, it makes total sense. But yes, you're on that list of heroes of mine, because to sort of, to be honest, you know, I am as someone who like grew up believing a fair amount of feminist propaganda about men and their sexuality, for women to both encourage male sexuality as a healthy thing and also encourage male issues in a compassionate way, like that combination, that was wonderful.
Well, I mean, all female anti-feminists are very beautiful.
Yeah, I've noticed that that female anti-feminists tend to be, you know, they tend to be pretty, they tend to be happy, they tend to be content, they tend to be loving, whereas you get feminists and they're angry and they're aggressive, and they like, it just, you know, I've often said you get so many feminists who make the jump to become anti-feminists, but you never get an anti-feminist who goes the other way.
No.
Well, they go in a slightly diagonal direction. They go in a direction where they mock feminists and anti-feminists. Like, I'm better than SJWs and better than anti-SJWs.
Yeah.
And this whole other thing. Not even centrism. It's the better than you defect. You know.
I don't know if any of you guys know Daisy Cousins, who's a young Australian woman who.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah.
She always looks like she's just come off. I always say she looks like she's just come off off the set of Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
But she has videos with titles like, "You don't need to be a feminist if you're as pretty as I am." Just
Well, I remember one of Daisy Cousin's videos that said, "Men, you are worth being listened to." And I thought to myself, because the comments are just full of so many men saying, "Thank you so much, Daisy. This means a lot to me, Daisy." And I thought, if I put out a video that said, "Women, you are worth being listened to," I would imagine the comments that would just say, "You're a patronizing dick."
at least.
Yeah, I'm very proud with the calendars. I don't think it's had as wide of a reach as I'd hoped for, because it was my hope that people would hang it in more public areas. Because, I mean, those facts are very good, and I like researched all of them and provide the links of where you could find them. But at the same time, it's like I'm kind of preaching to the choir. Everyone who's bought a calendar pretty much already knows this stuff. I was hoping that it would be put somewhere more open, so people would turn their heads like, "Ooh, a beautiful woman," and then they see the facts like, "Huh, I didn't know that." Never. So,
But by public, Chris, where do you mean? What sort of place?
you know, in an office environment, or
But surely they'd be taken down in like minutes, wouldn't they?
probably,
In a garage, perhaps.
yeah.
I can imagine them in a garage,
Yes.
but I don't work in one. So, but I mean, all the proceeds went to charity as well, didn't they?
No, a portion went to it. The rest went to the overhead.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And a lot of people, or a lot of feminists accused us of trying to make a profit off of men's issues. Like, feminists never do that. And I'm like, are you serious? I made $0 from this. Like, I did this absolutely for free.
Yeah, it's not been the money spinner we were hoping for, Elizabeth, is it? This men's rights malarkey.
This men's issues thing. I know.
Yeah.
I wish I had no principles, because I reckon I could make a fortune as a feminist.
Mm.
Yeah, I've often wondered that myself, like how much easier it would be to just, like, you know, because people will write to me and say, "Oh, you're scum, you're just promoting the status quo, it's so easy for you, you're privileged," etc. And I was like, I lost this year at university because a couple of feminists complained, and I had to have an inquiry which found that I was innocent, but they said, "Well, the inquiry's taken so long, why don't you just skip this year altogether and come back in September?" So like, it would be so easy for me to go into that gender studies class and just say, "Women are oppressed, men are beasts, like, I hate society." Like, I would get a straight A for that.
Would it be easy though? I mean, it wouldn't be intellectually taxing. It'd just be how could you live with yourself? Is what was all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I could easily do it.
I would not get resistance. That's what I mean. It would be the path of least resistance to do that.
Yeah, well, you'd meet little resistance in the environment around you, but you'd meet a lot of resistance in your own conscience.
Yes, no, absolutely, Mike. Yeah.
Well,
And that's ultimately what stops me. Yeah.
And that's one thing that inspires me, is that, you know, doing what's right requires a lot of sacrifice. And so few people are willing to do it, that when they see how hard it's going to be, they're like, "No, let someone else do it." And it's like, it's an opportunity for me to get my voice out there. But I know that it's just going to be next to impossible to really do it. So it's almost like a challenge, like, how can I make this happen?
We haven't heard from Tailed Feature, I don't think, have we?
Hello, Tailed.
Good evening, all.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm a few drinks in, so catching up with you guys.
Excellent.
Did you get a new microphone? You're all bassy and chocolatey.
No, it's the same one.
Oh, wicked.
Mess about with the settings by accident.
I guess I don't normally listen to you through headphones.
Well,
Well,
no.
let's-
This is generally my voice.
Since you've got another Scotsman, I'll just bow out. You know, like, I can see that I was merely the warm-up act. You know.
I'll
No,
quite
it's-
this in that now. Yeah.
No, it's fine because we're only half a person each, so
Hmm.
Well, I've never seen us both in the same place at the same time.
oh, that's true. Wait, is there something you're not telling me?
That we are actually one in the same account, just
Yeah.
doing very slight variations of a Glaswegian accent.
Mm. Well, mine's very varied from Glasgow because I'm not from Glasgow at all. Not that the people in this stream will be able to tell, I suppose.
Neither am I. I actually get accused of being Irish quite often. You know, it's something weird that like I will be
Well,
getting.
could you possibly be Irish for the purposes of this stream, just so we've got a bit more diversity?
So that you can tell who's speaking at any given time.
More diversity.
I get asked in my own town if I take a taxi, people will be like, "Oh, I love your accent. Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Here."
In the road.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because of that soft R. You just heard two different examples. The soft R that you use in your accent, and the trolled R that Glaswegians use, and you heard Tailed use something in between there. It wasn't quite a soft one. It wasn't quite a hard one.
I've got quite a unique accent, but yeah, do have to roll the R's sometimes.
Yeah, your voice reminds me of the Critical Drinker.
You know, loads of people have told me that, and I've still never even listened to him.
Oh, he's brilliant. He's a great laugh.
I suppose he probably purposefully chose that name, so Critical Drinker.
Well, it's funny because if you watch his older stuff, he's basically a professional YouTuber. You know, where he'll say, "Well, that's the end of my video. Please let me know what you think and leave a like." And then at one point he clearly thought, "You know what? I'm just going to own this Scottishness." And so his sign-off went from being, "Thank you very much and join me next time," to, "That's all I've got to say. Go away now."
Well, I believe he's from the same area as me, roughly. But I've never watched any of his videos. I'm slightly scared to, just in case I know him in real life.
I don't think he shows his face, though.
Can I just chip in something on Glasgow? I'm from Scottish extraction, but my father's from the Western Isles. But a good fella who I think is one of the funniest men on the planet. He's up there with DoctorRandomercam, I'd say. And he came to the 2016 conference in London, and he very kindly he brought me a shirt, a football shirt. And he wasn't to know, but I was brought up a Catholic.
All right.
I think you know where this is going. But I mean, I've been an atheist for 40-something years. Anyway, I was brought up a Catholic. So this is the shirt that Goodfella brought me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go through the Catholic region of Glasgow, and you know you'd emerge without your legs.
Oh yeah.
Is it still like that today?
I believe so, but I mean, I'm from the East Coast. We have nothing like that here.
Oh, right.
It's like, who do you support? And I'll say something like, well, I'm not into football, so I usually just say I don't like any football, and they go, well, other than saying, what are you, gay? You know, they'll then just say, no, but seriously, who do you support? And I'll just like say some random team, like, I don't know, Stenhousemuir or, you know, Wraith Rovers or something like that, and they'll say, aye, but Wraith Rovers Celtic or Wraith Rovers Rangers.
It's like saying you're an atheist in Northern Ireland. But are you a Catholic or Protestant atheist?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, apparently it's still pretty bad through in Glasgow, but it's the proximity to Ireland, really.
I had to explain to an American because he was asking me if we have any racial tensions over here the way that you have, you know, like blacks and whites and stuff, the civil rights movement. And I was kind of like, well, people fight each other if they support different football teams. You know, like he really, I mean, obviously there's a historical background there, but he really couldn't understand this idea that the strongest racial tension in Scotland is between the football teams.
Actually, there's a lot of commonality in that. The term is called basking in reflected glory. And that is what we see right now in America. It's like people are supporting football teams, or soccer as we call it over here.
I was about to say that it's very much like a sports team.
Yeah, we have all these Black Lives Matter people in a team. We have Antifa in a team. We have feminism in a team. And they're not really accomplishing anything. They're just going out there and having sporting events rioting in the streets, and that's all it really is. So it's actually very common to what you experienced there.
Can I just say, Chris, that in the game of patriarchy, women are not the opposing team, they're the ball.
They're the ball.
The ball.
Come on, they got the tits. One ball, two.
Was that the Jordan Petersonism?
Yeah, that was Anita Sarkeesian. Although I think she actually stole that off of Macintosh.
Well, probably. She never wrote her own hits.
No.
Well, you notice they never show Anita from below the waist, because then you'd see John's hand right up her ass.
She's actually incredibly short. If you ever see like a photo of her next to somebody, she's a total midget.
I have
Oh
heard
no,
that, yeah.
don't make me have something in common with her.
I mean, I have seen her in person at least across a hall at VidCon, and she didn't seem particularly midgety next to the other people as she was walking in. I mean,
she was sitting down, and she
yeah,
was
but she walked in at some point and then walked out. Yeah.
And she was calling Sargon a shithead, so you're probably distracted by that as well.
Yeah, I mean, women generally are short.
I posted a piece the other day, something like "Women are strong, women are amazing, women are as tall as men," and it's prompted by Boris Johnson doing a press conference about COVID, and there was a woman also also speaking, and she was on a plinth. So I was trying to make out it was something to do with someone trying to make out women are as tall as men, and then somebody said, I don't know if you caught this, Elizabeth. Then somebody said, "Well, hang on a minute. Didn't Ellie stand on a platform at the last ICMI in London?" That's different. That's Ellie.
Should have got Black Lives Matter along to tear her down off the plinth.
I couldn't reach the microphone.
It was practical, wasn't it? It was practical.
Damn that patriarchy
It
and the mic
was
stands.
practical. It was very practical. I had to take my shoes off to do it and everything, because with my boots I was a bit too tall. So I gave my speech in my socks.
Well, they complained about that on the space station. There was like an article that said the space station is built for the men, and the women don't fit in the nooks and crannies properly. And it was like, well,
Wait, what?
Like, yeah, the International Space Station is too big for the women. It's uncomfortable for the women. And it was like, well, it would have to be built for the largest person, because if it was built for the smaller person, like, it would be utter chaos to send someone who was male.
I mean, if you're smaller, you can fit into more nooks and more crannies. I don't know what the difference is.
I was about to say, what the heck?
It was something like somewhere where you had to stick your feet in one bar and hold another bar with your hands.
Oh, right, yeah, I remember
and
the picture.
Women were really struggling with that. And it was just kind of like, but we're talking about maybe a dozen people who will get to be on that station. What the hell does this have to do with normal life?
Well, feminists have now started saying that architecture is sexist. Like, how they design a city is geared towards men.
Because it's big penises everywhere.
Well, not even just that, but they're talking about like sidewalks. They're talking about, pretty much every aspect of the city is designed specifically for men, and women feel oppressed within the city.
I mean, spoiler alert, literally everything is sexist. I mean, are we surprised by any of this?
Can we stop quoting Anita Sarkeesian?
At least they had more way to go fuck themselves,
I mean, like, how you were saying, like, the cities are sexist because skyscrapers are phallic, or rockets are sexist because they're phallic, I saw a complaint about a magazine from a clothes store that had, different models wearing different clothing to show it off as per usual. And there was a black boy who wore a top that had a cartoon monkey on it. And it became a huge scandal about, oh, you're comparing black people to monkeys. And it really kind of says to me, like, what kind of twisted mind do you have to have that that's all you see all the time? You see the world full of penises, and you see the world full of black people as monkeys. It never occurs to you that actually it's just a cartoon, or actually it's just a skyscraper and it doesn't have any significance to it.
I had a friend who described herself as a social justice warrior. Now, we agreed on a lot of issues, surprisingly, but, you know, I also mentored her for writing, and I showed her this old SNL skit where they had all of these superheroes come to a party. It was Superman's party, but you had the Flash, you had the Incredible Hulk there, you had just a mix of DC and Marvel, and Ant-Man shows up. And everyone is making fun of Ant-Man for his power. But Ant-Man is played by a black guy. And she's like, oh, that's racist. And I'm like, why is it racist? It's like, well, they're making fun of the black guy. I'm like, they're not making fun of the black guy. They're making fun of the character who happens to be played by a black guy. But it was so amazing that, you know, everything else, the black guy is being made fun of. She couldn't see anything else.
But that's the point. They see the difference when nobody else did, and they'll champion it. They'll say, "Isn't it great that you have a black person doing this, and isn't it great that you have a woman doing this?" And I think to myself, you're holding back equality, because equality will be the moment when nobody cares, when it's just normal.
And that was a point that
then they'll have no job.
That's true.
Like the 90s. Anyone remember the 90s? None of this was an issue in the 90s.
Yeah.
It felt like we'd finally fixed the racism issue because nobody fucking talked about it. There were black people everywhere, white people everywhere, and no one mentioned race. Like, nothing bad happened in the 90s. It's fucking weird.
It's kind of like, you know, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, you know, and it's like, to a certain extent, we should be more childlike in our approach to these things, because when you were a child, you know, and you played with, you know, a black kid, or you played with, you know, a Chinese kid or whatever, there was no, like, the children of the group didn't sort of say, let's all take a minute to appreciate ourselves that we're letting the Chinese person in, aren't we so great? They would just play a game because they didn't care. It didn't even enter their mind that the child was different.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you. In the States, the 90s, I mean, we had the O.J. Simpson trial, and that caused a lot of controversy with racism because people's reaction.
I guess you had the original, the Rodney King thing as well. That was 92.
Yeah. There was, I mean, we had the race riots in right after that. So there was a lot of racial tension, but compared to today, you can easily remember, oh, it wasn't that bad. And today, it's just horrid. But back then, it was still, that's where we came with the PC culture.
At least in the 90s, the gender studies courses were limited to the gender studies courses. They weren't mandatory modules in everyone else's course as well.
Well, there was a plaque.
It disappeared.
There was a plaque in a university in Connecticut that bore the "I Have a Dream" speech by Martin Luther King, and it was defaced because it doesn't include gay people in it.
Oh.
Can I just recommend a book very strongly? I don't know if, I mean, the best book I know of to cover race, trans, homosexuality, and women. And obviously, I went to the Women channel, chapter first. Fascinating book.
My mother would wholeheartedly agree. She loves that book.
Yeah, I mean, Douglas Murray is just a genius, and he says stuff which he's gay, as you guys probably know, but stuff about homosexuality, which is really quite brave to say in this day and age. You know that he said, why do we all pretend we know things that we didn't know yesterday, and why do we all claim not to know things that we've known for hundreds of years? You know. But it's a fascinating book. One of the most interesting I've read in the last 10 years.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'll put it on my list.
Already on mine.
Oh, it's a must read, totally.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I have it in my Audible library.
Oh, I might get it on that as well. Next time Audible write to me and go, you can have a free book if you come back. I keep like subscribing for free for like a book or two, and then just in before they charge me. And I've got like 4 books, or possibly even 5 or 6 out of it so far. Because they write to me like every 3 months.
One of them is The Boy Crisis by Warren Farrell, which you listened to in a week's COVID.
Well, I've in light of
Yes.
my campaign, I've made a list on Amazon of every book that I would want to read to make this book. I have 300 listed so far.
Yeah. So this will be 301. Yeah. But I mean, my heart always sinks when someone says, you know, can you read my book, you know, with a view to possibly recommending it, because I must have 10 stacked up that I just know I'm not going to get to half of them.
Well, since we're talking,
My reading is pretty long
Mike,
too.
to show my screen share real quick of
Ooh.
mine. Just mention it.
Go ahead.
Alrighty.
Did you see that Stop LGBT is trending on Twitter right now?
Wait, what? How did Twitter let that happen?
Oh,
It's because
How
it's
interesting.
truncated. It's meant to be like Stop LGBT Conversion Therapy or something like that, but it just says Stop LGBT.
how
Looks interesting.
funny. Oh my God, it is. That's unbelievable.
What's that, Elizabeth?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, if you go to trending, the second one it just says stop LGBT. I thought Belinda had been busy for a second.
So
I'm not seeing it.
Chris,
It's
congratulations
UK.
on getting some money there.
Oh, there it is.
What's up?
Congratulations on getting some donations.
Thank you. I've got 8 days left. But as I tell people, no, even if this fails, which it looks like it's going to, and not as a dismissal of myself, but this book's going to get published either way. It's just, I wanted to raise the funds to get some editing done, to get a cover design done,
Oh, okay.
and maybe get it widely distributed. I mean, I could throw up on Amazon for free. I mean, that's not a problem. I've done it like 20 times. So, you know, this book's going to get published, but I want to put as much of a good step forward as I can. So if anyone watching this, you want to go and support this, you know, every little bit helps, but this November 19th, the book comes out no matter what. So, and
Well,
I'll see what I can do.
Dr. Randomercam, you fancy doing like an introduction and we'll start from there, and then we can go to Chris talking about the book for a second and then get some music playing.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So, Chris, tell us about your book. There you go.
well, my book is basically a continuation of the Lovely Ladies calendar campaign, where we featured facts and provided the source links. And I've put this now into book form, where I will discuss all the men's issues over 4 books and provide links to all of the facts. And there's actually a lot of facts out there. I found like 5,000 different sources out there. And this will be really the first time that it's really been all put together. And it's going to have an accompanying fact book that will just be the facts and the links themselves. So it can be a good resource to anyone who's doing research. But something I like to do is whenever I'm on Facebook and I'm seeing people posting like, oh, well, women suffer this and men don't do this, I can quickly pull from my resource and like, well, this is not true because this right here, and here's the link, because they always want a link. Like, they won't accept you on your word, but they expect you to accept them on their word. And I
Google it, read a book, etc.
I want to give people the power to shut feminists up.
I would absolutely adore a copy of that, because that's when I did gender studies last year. That's exactly, you know, what I was trying to do, collate a big kind of fact sheet, so that whenever the teacher would bring up some topic, I could say, well, here's a reference of why you're wrong.
Well, and you had mentioned, I forget who it was, I think it was Eccentric Cat, that you had wanted the calendar. Well, one thing that we're offering on this is the fact fact book that we did with the Lovely Ladies calendar, which does feature pictures of the models and facts. It's only like $5 on here. So if you still want some sort of memorabilia from the Lovely Ladies calendar, you can get our little fact book that we have.
That definitely sounds like an excellent deal. Just send me the link.
Chris, I don't know if you're familiar with this book. Chris?
It's a little small on my screen. Let me
I'm sorry.
share. Oh, there we go. The Empathy Gap. I think that's on my list.
Okay. It's about 720 pages. The reference section alone is 54 pages. And it was a book that I run the world's most modest publishing company, LPS Publishing, and we published it last year. It's an amazing book. I think you'd agree, Ellie, wouldn't you? It's just outstanding.
Oh, it's my Bible.
Yeah.
And that's one of my big issues is the empathy gap. I mean, the folder I have on empathy gap alone has over 600 resources. And I will probably write my own book called The Empathy Gap under the guise of Boys and Men's Issues Handbook. But yeah, I definitely want to read that book as well.
But this is very much about issues. And in fact, the subtitle is very good. Male disadvantages and the mechanisms of their neglect. And it's an absolute tour de force. Yeah, I mean, so on the back, Janice Fiamengo. This man is a master. I am in awe of his work. That's quite a testimonial, isn't it?
Well, I've also spoke to Paul, Elam, and Elizabeth, and they've agreed to write the foreword to book 1 and 2.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'd be definitely interested in that book, to be sure.
Well, you know, I will be doing an aggressive marketing campaign, but I will definitely get all of you a link to when it is released.
Fantastic.
Good luck. We'll post it on our list of recommended books.
Well, thank you.
So expect the money to come flying in. You won't know what to do with it, Chris. I mean, you know, yachts, you know, you name it, Ferraris.
Well, I assume being a white male, he already has them.
In the little box, I could
Yeah.
Well, and you know, this is something that you and me talked about, Mike and Mike Buchanan. I call the other Mike DoctorRandomercam. So,
That's
yeah,
an easy way to do it.
A lot
Yeah.
of people are going to see this at first, and I kind of expect that. I mean, I kind of expect maybe 1, 5, 10 years before it finally catches on, but that's not going to deter me from getting it done. I know that this will be a very important book, at least for those of us in the movement, because I want to help get the information out, because it is just out there and most of us don't know where it is. So yeah. I really want to give people the ammunition to use when having a conversation against the vile lot.
Well, I think Jordan Peterson once said that, you know, there's this obsession with fake news. He said, fake news is not the real problem. The real problem is no news. You know, so just not having any understanding of what's going on at all.
No, I mean, there's something.
We are all very fortunate. I need to let you all know Natty is joining. She's just asked to be admitted.
So she's just asked what, Ellie?
She knows too much about me.
She's joining as we speak. Wonder Natty.
So she's joining us on this. So you're breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're getting another female. That should balance things out.
You can't come in without a. You can't come in without a song and a mask and a vaccination.
You know, I just hope she doesn't want to vape, because you're only allowed to vape on the top line here.
Oh, is that what you have in your hand?
To the top line to vape.
Oh yeah, it is a vape.
He's a big fat vape. Then go on.
We should be on the background, shouldn't we? Like on the back of the bus. I don't know why Natty's taking so long to join. Is she? Hey, Natty! Probably can't hear me because you're joining your audio.
Can I just complain that this is vape culture?
Vape culture. Nice.
That's
Very,
what we should call this, big culture.
very good, Hat. Very good. Hello, Natty.
Anyone?
Yeah, you need to give a couple of minutes grace while they set up their microphone. It took me a while.
Sound like somebody dropped off.
I think. Well, I don't know who dropped off. Yeah, but there isn't an icon next to her name, so she might be able to see us, but she probably can't hear us. So,
That's
if you want to Natty now, she can't hear us. Or maybe she can. We don't know.
So, shall we get
think-
the party started and get the music on?
So I love that quote,
Child.
Chris. I think that totally sums up the culture's like view of men. They can see us, they just can't hear us.
Well, you know, something I like to
Child.
say to people is that the words silent and listen have the exact same letters.
Very good.
Mind blown.
I had something the other day amused me. I don't know why I didn't blog on it, to be honest with you, but I think it was on one of our YouTube things that I put a comment about. I made up this thing that a recent study by psychologists at the University of Leighton Buzzard showed that the average feminist IQ is similar to that of a fruit fly. And this feminist actually replied to that saying, "I've searched that study, I can't find it." I know, Vernon, I know.
Do you have any fruit?
You're kind of proving my point here. So I said, no, it's not yet been published. And so she said, well, you know, can you let me know when it is? I shall be sure to do that. She might find out that the University of Leighton Buzzard doesn't exist, but that was too much for her, I guess.
Well, they're not trained
Yeah,
to
so
think,
Taylor-
they're trained to parrot information. So that's how we're going to defeat them.
Yeah.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Let's have some music. What link have you got for us? You can either send the link to me and I'll get it up on my screen,
When you say a link, Elizabeth,
or you can share your screen actually.
sorry, Elizabeth, when you share a link, what are you thinking of? How do we share a link? Just send you a URL.
Link or something like that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right. God, so much choice.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm hoping
also,
for Black Sabbath from you,
bottom, that's it.
Tailed. Might have some. What was that?
Okay. Fair enough. I'll get something. I didn't have anything prepared, but
Well, I have a song prepared right now.
all right, I'll go for that then, and I'll send you something, Elizabeth.
Alrighty.
I should tell you for why I shared that now.
Zappa was as good as
our
Hendrix.
eldest
Discuss.
Has just turned. Zappa was. Did you say not?
Zappa was as good as Hendrix. Discuss. I like
was
throwing that in
better.
at a party and
It
seeing
was
who it
better than
offends.
Hendrix, I saw.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
It's all relative. So,
But I'll tell you why I shared that song. My eldest just had a birthday last weekend, and so my mind turned to memories of him being born. But where's that coming from? It was that me. Sorry, that's completely me. Sorry, bloody Grammarly. So he had a miracle birth that was virtually, I mean, there was fairly little pain, but it was in a midwife-led unit, which is like, it's got a double bed and a bath and these nice lights, and it's like peace and love, and your partner stays there with you. And I gave birth to him listening to Apostrophe by Frank Zappa, which was kind of an accident because I meant to listen to Overnight Sensation by Frank Zappa, but I didn't. I listened to that and it was all very magical and excellent, and so that's why I chose that song to share with you all.
That's wholesome. Is that wholesome? I never thought I'd say Frank Zappa was wholesome in any way, but I guess that kind of is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is wholesome. It was lovely. It was like I just lay by the heater, by the central heating, and curled up and visualized. Yeah, babe. Sorry, younger one wants something. There you go.
They always want something.
Back. Oh. Yeah. Oh, you've done it. I just laid by the heat, Lily's opening and listened to Frank Zappa, and while I was lying there, like the midwives were in and out, going and getting their colleagues to come and look at this miracle birth that was so calm and chilled. So it's a very good memory and a
Imagine
very
if you-
wholesome one indeed.
Imagine if you accidentally put on Broken Hearts Are for Assholes. You
Or
pull that up
It
if you
could have
like.
been worse, really, than that, couldn't it?
Well, that album had "Don't Eat the Yellow Snow."
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing,
Oh,
like, you know,
I would say,
what was that, Mike?
if I had 10 Desert Island Discs, I think I'd have Valley Girls by Frank Zappa.
Yeah, yeah, I love that
I
one.
just adore that song. But, oh my
Too funny.
God. Oh, yeah, I can't do the
Oh my
accent.
God!
Wasn't that his daughter or something?
It was. It's Moon. The Moon
Moon.
Unit.
Oh, it's the unit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He-
no,
and
Frank
he's a
Zappa
teetotal.
is,
He didn't take drugs. I mean, you would have
He
put money on that
was.
guy being a druggie, but apparently not.
Reminds me
no,
of
he couldn't stand it. You know, he kind of, go
carry
on.
on. Well, I was about to say, you ever speak to Paul Elam and have that moment where you remind me of Frank Zappa? Because he does talk a little bit like Frank Zappa. He's got that slow, deep sort of voice, and he's
A little bit, yeah.
he's very tall, and he leers into you like that. You can't help it because he's that tall. But yeah, he's got that sort of slow wisdom to him. I mean, Frank got a lot of shit wrong. There's a lot of quotes floating out there. Some are very intelligent. Some are a bit. Frank, sit down with me. But
Did anybody read his autobiography?
sounds like a no.
Which
No.
one? Oh, wait,
Oh,
you mean, one he wrote with someone? The real Frank Zappa autobiography, is that the one?
That's the one, yeah. That was a very interesting
Yeah,
read. Yeah,
that's a very interesting read.
right.
Did Natty ever
Definitely.
appear?
Natty's showing us in here, but I can't see her.
Does she have a phobia of Frank Zappa?
Natty, if you can hear us, blink twice.
Has anybody ever seen the movie Unfriended? Because
Yes.
like that's exactly what happens. A mystery guest appears and then everybody starts dying.
Actually, because you're talking about Frank Zappa, I thought you were going to say The Running Man.
There was one scene in that film that kind of that went, yeah, okay, that sort of works. That's where the person freezes on the screen. They went, oh, their connection's obviously
Yeah.
like gone, and then you hear their phone vibrating in the background, and it just like slowly moves into view because you think that the screen's like frozen, but actually no, it's not. They're dead. That was the only scene that made me go, oh, all right, okay, I didn't expect that. But the rest of it was
something
awful.
like the most successful horror, like relative to its budget, because its budget was like $1 million or something, and it made like 100 million.
Really? Fucking hell. So I think I bought it in the I think it was an ex of mine bought it on in like the DVD bargain bin or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not Oscar
Talking
material.
of films, there's a film coming out at some point, which I think will eclipse The Red Pill, and that's Ava Brighton's Avoid.
I just put some money on that.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Like, now there's like two things for me to put money towards: that film and Chris's book. So I'm just trying to be sure I'm financially, just able to get enough money in as as I can.
Well, I've been talking to Ava when she still kind of had this on the drawing board last year. So we've been communicating back and forth, and it's just like, it's so wonderful that both of our products are coming out relatively close to each other. I think it'll have 2020 has been a sucky year, but I also think it's going to have a nice big impact for the movement by the end of the year.
I think it's about time that, because I mean, the Red Pill was what, 3 years ago? It's time for another big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people got into this stuff because they had the occasion to binge watch stuff on the internet, because the internet's the only place you can find these arguments. That's how a lot of people found themselves on Karen's channel, and they marathoned Karen stuff, and it went on from there. In my case, it was because I was a postman, and because for 4 or 5 hours a day, I was listening to whatever was available. For a lot of people, it's when they're housebound or injured or sick or something, or just out of work or something. And that's why we get a lot of downtrodden weirdos in the movement. Go on. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing. I was pregnant when I got into all of this. So not going out and drinking and having fun, but staying in.
Yeah, and obviously 2020 is going to have that effect on a hell of a lot of people.
I think that would be interesting to talk about, is how all of us got into the movement.
I'm probably the biggest newcomer. Like, I didn't really take my last bit of a dose of the Red Pill until December last year, maybe. Yeah. But I've been concerned about men's issues, but I wasn't fully, on board, in tune with the movement, in small doses across time. But last year was basically, yeah, that's it. I'm in.
My story is that I had a very close friend in 2014, and I confided in her a lot of things, including abuse that I'd had in my childhood. And she was very consoling, and I was really attached to her, and she was helping me an awful lot. And then at one point, we were having a conversation about the ability to manufacture sperm. And she told me very, very plainly that she thinks that if that were possible, that men should be outbred. And I was devastated. And, I like I said to her, what about your boyfriend? What about your father? And she was like, oh yeah, there would be losses, but wouldn't it be worth it for a world that was free of crime? And it was a really traumatizing moment for me, because she knew that, that my abuse had been at the hands of a female, and yet she was telling me that in her utopia, I would be the one to not be here. And I phoned my best friend, who's a female, who has stuck by me through everything. She's totally, my rock. And she kind of consoled me, but I was still really, really upset about this. So I went looking on the internet for where she might have, heard those kind of perspectives. And I came across this video called Feminism and the Disposable Male. And I saw the thumbnail of some middle-aged woman. And I thought, so this will be some bitch, some, snarky middle-class bitch who thinks that men should die. So let's hear what she has to say. And that video changed my life, because at the end of it, when Karen was saying that we do expect men, if there's like a fire or whatever, we expect men to be the one to sacrifice themselves. I mean, Liz, we were talking about that earlier today, that if you have to choose between yourself and a woman, you're expected to choose yourself. And I thought, that's absolutely true. And I feel that too. How can I hate women? How can I be a misogynist? How can I be from a sexist society? How can I be intrinsically evil if I would give up the most valuable thing that I own, which is my life, to save someone based on the fact that they are female? If I believe that I am that disposable, how can I hate women?
I remember thinking, even when I was a really little kid, like 7 or something, how can you hate some? Well, as soon as I knew what sexual attraction was, I'm like, how can you hate someone that you're instinctively, like, you can't help loving? Like, how does that work? And and then I went through the kind of education most people go through when they try to rationalize it by saying, oh, because everyone hates women and they always have. I was right. When I was a fucking child, I was right. It doesn't make sense that men would hate women on any institutional level when they're biologically designed to love them. Same goes the other way.
I think men have a sort of pride and ego to flatter themselves, where they like to believe that they and they alone understand and love women in a way that no other man ever has. I think there's a kind of selfishness in the fact that women have a group priority and men have an individual priority, where they like to believe that they are the best man and all the other men are lesser.
Yeah.
On a sideline, Het, funny that you mentioned that, these people think that, eliminate all men and all crime will be gone or something like that. But the reality of the matter is, the only thing, if we eliminate all men, there'll only be crimes that we'll be turning a blind eye to.
Yeah.
Well, I just found a study very recently that looked at all
prevent those crimes.
Well, I found a study very recently that looked at royalty from the 1400s up to the 1900s of kings and queens. And while it's only like 40 queens, it's a small sample size, it found that they were 27% more likely to go to war than men.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd love to see, because feminists, they think that it's like a total winning argument, the mic drop moment. If they can ever suggest that there are more male criminals than female criminals. And whilst we can argue, about like how many female criminals are let off versus how many males are imprisoned, etc., and that weighs into the statistics heavily, I would love, to see the reverse of that and say, how many men are willing to risk their lives to do heroic deeds to save people? How many men are in positions that actively put themselves in danger, whether that's the emergency services, the army, people who, rescuers, mountain climbers, the Coast Guard? How many men do these positions versus how many women do those positions? Because I guarantee that even if you found out for a fact with no bias there are more male criminals than there are female criminals, I guarantee that the gap between brave men versus brave women will be wider than the gap between evil men versus evil women.
Yeah, and more women are killed by men than men are killed by women, especially domestically. But this doesn't take into account the number of times that a man has been killed by another man on behalf of a woman, either deliberately by hitman, which does happen, and they get let off even when there's video evidence of it. And sometimes it's there's much less of a trail than that. Sometimes there's just jealousy going on, and etc. Someone ends up killing someone.
Put down to self-defense. That if the man in any way gave her any reason to feel threatened and she stabbed him in the face, that was self-defense. There are examples of women who were divorced from men who had abused them. Like the men had been abusers, but these women were out of their lives and yet hunted them down and killed them, and the women were deemed to have acted in self-defense.
Well, here's some interesting statistics that I've encountered in my research, and I'll give you two. One, women represent about 10% of murders in the United States, but are less than 1% of people on death row. And the second statistic is the children dying by the hands of the parent. 70% of the time, it's the mother. And yet we believe fathers are the evil ones. By the way, Elizabeth, Natty just told me that she's waiting for you to let her in.
Oh, again. I've let her in 3 times now. Okay. She's in again. Oh, she's in twice now. How lovely.
Unless that is indeed the stocky murderer from the film.
Yeah, I mean, in the UK, the stats for child homicides are round about 50-50, but of course it doesn't take into account all of the sudden infant death syndromes that are questionable.
Well, what I hate...
Or the abortions.
Or the abortions. Exactly.
Well, what I hate is that that when you say, you know, men are 3 times more likely to be killed than women, feminists will respond, yeah, by other men. And it's like, but why does a similarity between the victim and the perpetrator nullify the compassion there? Why is it like, you know, if these 2 people share some kind of physical trait that we care less? I mean, do you apply the same if like a black person kills another black person? You know, you're like, yeah, well, that's black on black crime, so it doesn't matter. Of course it does. The victim and the perpetrator have no correlation.
Yeah, but in the modern world, it kind of doesn't, does it, in fairness?
Well, that's the same thing for prison rape. If we include prison rape into the conversation of rape, then men get raped far more than women do. But if you tell that to a feminist, they're like, well, that doesn't count. Why not? Or they'll say, well, they deserve to get raped. They're criminals.
Well, I absolutely agree. And I say to any person that doesn't care about prison rape that they have to own it. They have to, like, not just sort of put it out of their mind as something that's happening in the background, you know, because it could be happening to anyone, someone who is wrongly imprisoned, someone who is imprisoned for a crime that had no kind of, like, physical, you know, like, say, like tax avoidance. That it's perfectly possible that that person is getting raped. And I say to them, would you accept a world where a judge said, I sentence you to 4 years and 30 rapes?
There's another issue. One of the most astonishing things I came across years and years ago was that, and studies from California and in the UK have both shown this, that for of men in prison for raping women, a majority of them were abused by 1 or more women when they were children, sometimes their own mothers. I think it tends to be around 60% or so were abused by 1 or more women when they were children.
I also, as far as I'm aware, men who are imprisoned for crimes against women tend to have a very difficult time in prison, because even prisoners have a kind of a code of etiquette that that someone who's imprisoned for either harming a woman or harming a child is the worst of the worst.
Oh, absolutely brutal.
More gynocentrism, to be sure.
Yeah. Hello, Wonder Natty.
Hi.
Hi,
Apparently you left me before. I don't know what happened there. He didn't say anything. Anyway, I'm sorry.
How are you?
I'm all right. I was laying in bed with my kids until about 10, and then I tried to join this meeting.
Over and over.
Nice
again.
background. Huh?
I said over and over again, you tried to join.
Sorry, what was that, Natty? You said my background.
I said nice background.
Yeah,
right?
it's surprisingly, it stays light very late in Bedford.
I'm kind of curious about your background. Is that a dildo on that board?
That cloud has been static for
Turn the
hours.
light.
The clouds just don't move in Bedford.
Oh, here we go. That.
I love your dress, darling.
Oh, thank you. It's one of my faves.
Very pretty.
The upper-handed
Nice to do a chat with you, Natty.
Huh?
It's nice to do a cam with you. We've talked for so long. I don't think we've ever had like a face-to-face before.
No, hi. I see your videos, but not on the cam. Look at your computer setup. Nice.
I think something that really surprised me about the whole prison thing is the fact that there's a lot of really good projects that help prisoners either when they're in there to get education and skills and stuff like that, or at the gate by supporting them with housing and stuff like that. And they'll help any prisoner, you know, they'll help murderers, but they refuse to help anyone who's been convicted of a sex offense. And it's like, so, you know, you won't help someone who was 15 and had sex with a 14-year-old or something, you know, something very minor, but you'll help the murderer. But, you know, the thing is, they won't get any funding. No one will donate to someone who will help people who are, you know, sex offenders, which I think is just really disturbing, you know. And
So
the other thing,
prisoners and feminists agree rape is worse than murder. So if you're going to rape someone, lads, make sure you murder them. They're incentivizing you to do so.
You know, but there must be hundreds, and I suspect thousands, of men in British prisons today following convictions after false rape allegations. I'm sure it's in the thousands. God knows the number in the States.
Feminists have said it's better for 10 innocent men to go to jail to prevent one guilty man from going free.
Yeah.
And they've also said that if a man is accused of rape, then he must have done something. Even if he didn't rape, he must have done something that deserves to be punished.
Well, that's the big irony, isn't it? They will believe that a man will forcibly force sex upon a woman and take away all of her rights to autonomy, to body control. They believe that, but they would never believe that a woman would lie. That's a bit far-fetched.
Another thing I want to add, Chris, is that, you know, they also say that men who are raped will benefit from the experience or something like that.
Kathleen Collins said that, yeah. She said that they would benefit because it will allow them to ask themselves, would they do it?
Right.
Elizabeth, with this funding, you were saying in prisons there's no funding to help sex offenders. Are there any categories, or is it just sex offenders in general?
No, it's just the entire category.
The entire category.
I mean, in
very,
fairness, the NSPCC has raised the alarm that, you know, there are an awful lot of children on the sex offenders register because, you know, there are like 15, 16-year-old boys who are accepting nude photographs from their 14, 15-year-old girlfriends, and they end up on the sex offenders register. And the NSPCC has raised the alarm about this. But in terms of support for prisoners, it's a blanket, no one who's on the register.
Well, what, you know, society has this, that they've turned what's supposed to be like rehabilitation into just punishment, and they expect that rehabilitation will come of its own natural cause. You know, it's like, see, for example, the amount of rape that there is in prison.
Okay, sorry, prison was never designed to be for rehabilitation.
Well,
you can say now you'd like it to be, but I'm saying it was never intended that way. Just making that point.
Well, and look at America. The prison system is a private company, basically. They don't want people to get better. I mean, they'll offer programs and all of that, but, you know, I've written to female prisoners, and I have gained an understanding of what life is like within their prison system. And the prison's not interested in helping them. They're interested in keeping them criminals. Because if they become criminals again, once they get out, they get to come back into prison. Prison makes money.
That's why they never said.
revolving
That's
door
why they
of-
never said why you're sending us all these minor drug offenders. They're clearly not criminals. They just went, oh yeah, we'll take all of them, please.
I would say, Natalie, that all those prisons that would style themselves correction facilities, they are endorsing rehabilitation. Certainly, in
No, I'm just saying now they are, but I'm just saying that originally the whole concept wasn't for rehabilitation. I'm just saying that that's a kind of more recent.
My point is that a lot of people, particularly feminists, will turn a blind eye to rape in prison as though it's somehow justified or doesn't matter, etc., etc. And what I want to ask is how do you expect someone who is raping in prison to come out a fully realized, healthy citizen? You know,
well,
if
that's the thing. That's why I support rehabilitation, because almost everyone who is in prison is going to be released at some point. So we can ignore their difficulties, you know, and just try and scare them out of committing a crime again, or we can sort out what's gone wrong in their lives, you know, and they, you know, the stats are horrendous. Yeah.
I realise I'm interrupting you, and I'm making this personal for a second, but and I have to be very careful not to project what's going on in my life to what the general situation is with the general prison population, of course, but I'm not sure that the majority. Well, I think that there's different categories of people who are in prison. Okay, for who are basically possibly beyond rehabilitation, and these are the people that the conversation's about in terms of it's working out what percentage are the ones that can and want to be, that's the key point, rehabilitated, and the ones that don't. And my personal situation, well, like my father is someone that doesn't want to be rehabilitated. Yeah.
I'd like to add to Daddy's point.
He's in prison because it was the easy way out for him. He's a sex offender, right? He doesn't want to be rehabilitated. Like, he's not interested in being cured if there was a cure. I'm not saying that his situation applies to the majority of the population. I'm just saying that he deliberately went to prison to get out of real life. And I have come across this kind of thing before, and I just want to, I don't know, I guess I would like to see some more research or evidence of what percentage of the prison population are, you know, so if we're talking about the sex offenders category, we've got everything from a young lad who sent his another girl who was underage some dodgy pictures, to someone being falsely accused, to someone to a man raping a woman, to paedophiles, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of been proven that paedophiles are mostly beyond help. Okay, so far.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So I think when you are talking about this, we have to break the categories down properly. Because if you hear, I'm someone on this side fully, but I hear, oh, let's spend time rehabilitating paedophiles when I hear sex offender, purely because I get triggered because of my own personal situation of dealing with someone, my own father, who's a low-level paedophile, right? Okay, he doesn't want to be rehabilitated. He's in prison because he doesn't want to. That's why he's there. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that is exactly,
you know.
Okay.
I mean,
so I'm just saying,
you know, the problem with rehabilitation as well is that there is no one.
Well, I'd like to say something about that with my own personal experience. And It's not with pedophilia, but it's with the homeless population. And there's a lot of similarities with what she has had.
Exactly. Yeah. They are a lot of them are in prison on purpose too. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, because I lived in a homeless shelter for a couple of months, and I met all sorts of people there. People who were just down on the luck, society failed them, and they're trying to get back. And there are plenty of programs to help them. And then I met people who wanted to be homeless. They didn't want to be responsible for themselves. They just loved the system they were in. They were in a shelter, they got 3 square meals a day and didn't have to do anything. And to even suggest to them that they try to get out of their situation, they didn't want to. You know, we often hear people talk about, oh, well, we need to try to solve homelessness. Well, yeah, for those who really want help. But you're always going to have a homeless problem because there's always going to be people that just want to use their system for their own gain. And in relation to what Natty's saying, it's great to have those opportunities out there to help people. And I'm right there with you, Elizabeth. But you can only help people who want to be helped. And you can't force people to be helped if they don't want to.
Absolutely.
I hope people don't mind, but I was up terribly early this morning, and I'm really, really flagging. So if people don't mind, I think I'll say good night to you all. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope we meet again.
Thanks.
I hope to speak to you again too.
All right.
Yep.
Cheers, Mike.
Nice meeting you, Mike.
You too.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye now.
Have a good night.
And you.
All right.
You know, the Proto Men used to remind me of the 80s. Now the 80s reminds me of the Proto Men.
Well, I absolutely adore that song. It was actually in my iPod in high school. It was like the song I listened to most. But I love it because it's a real celebration of masculinity, and it's kind of unashamed of that. And you know, even like the part where Puss in Boots jumps off the horse to defend Shrek, and he says, he's like, go, your lady needs you, go. You know, at like moments like that where it's like a man helping another man fight for his wife and stuff, it really fills me with a positive sense of masculinity and an appreciation for who men are.
Just reminds me of Short Circuit too.
Yeah. Well, I was saying earlier that I like movie soundtracks. And this is one of my favorite composers, Harry Gregson Williams. He was the one who was able to splice that beautiful song with the Shrek theme. But he has done so many great music scores, including Metal Gear Solid 2, which he did beautifully. But, you know, when you really start paying attention to music composers, he is one of the really good ones.
So I think the song says a lot. That there's a lot to analyze about it. Just in the very small amount that it has, you know, the 4 minutes, because it starts with the lyrics, you know, where have all the good men gone? And that seems to be a question that a lot of feminists ask these days. You know, they say, where are all the good men? And the truth is that we're all around you. We're just too afraid to speak.
Here's my husband. Say hi.
Hi, husband.
Hi.
A lot of us are with the good women. That's the thing.
Hi, Dave. Say hi, I'm Dave.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry.
I just
wanted to show him his booking part.
But I disagree with you about the lyrics of that song. And I can understand your point of view on it, but it kind of seems to conform to this idea that men must sacrifice themselves for women. And maybe this sounds a bit feminist of me. I don't think it does, but it's like the woman can't do anything for herself. She's waiting for someone to come rescue her.
Well,
and
I mean,
that's men's value is, where's my white knight? I need a white knight to come here now and do this. What is she doing for him?
I definitely think there's that argument to be made, which is why I find the song so fascinating, because you could either see it as indicting or encouraging, depending on your personal perspective. I think, you know, with the context of the movie behind it, it's definitely more encouraging. But you know, that's something that you know, I have heard before. There was a YouTuber way back in the early days. I don't know if you've ever seen her. She was called Christy O'Misty. And it was like a young woman who maybe about 19 or 20, and she made a series of videos talking about her perspectives on men and masculinity, and she was like chased off of the internet. And so you can only find her videos now with other people who've uploaded them. But I remember her using that song and basically saying, you know, that was her perspective of who women were. Women were someone who did want a man to look up to respect, to love, to admire, to adore. They didn't want what feminists told them to want, which is essentially to be totally self-sufficient. And men are, as you know, as Gloria Steinem said, they're as necessary as a bike is to a fish.
One thing I want to add, Chris, is that I don't think it's feminist of you to think that way. In fact, I kind of defined gynocentrism as like the demand for male altruism. So, yeah, I don't think you're particularly feminist for saying that at all, actually.
Okay. Well, I do agree with you that the movie that's being played in it, Fiona has proved herself more than capable. In fact, from a feminist perspective, she's like feminism's worst enemy because she learned to defend herself. She learned martial arts. She's fully capable of taking care of herself, and yet she chooses to remain with Shrek, a man who's a very masculine figure. So, used in the context with the movie, I think it's inspiring. But the song on its own by Bonnie Tyler, it's gynocentric.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. As you say, Fiona's a great character because she's everything that feminists say that they want in cinema, in the sense of strong, self-reliant, sufficient, capable of many things. But also she chooses to work with Shrek and to rely on Shrek and to love Shrek, as opposed to just being totally independent.
We don't have to make stupid characters in order for her to be amazing. She can be amazing with amazing male characters.
And that's what bothers me about so many modern Mary Sue feminist characters, because they say, oh, it's about time that women were appreciated in cinema, whereas we know through, like, you know, Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley and even Fiona, that there have been plenty of incredibly strong female characters for decades, but those characters didn't kowtow to feminist agendas and they didn't preach feminist propaganda, so they don't count.
Yeah. I'm giving anyone else who wants to speak a chance, or else I'll just keep going on.
I'm looking up a Tom Lehrer song that is opposite here. I don't know if can you hear that?
No.
Okay.
Oh, can you share your screen at the bottom of the screen?
I can. Does that share the audio as well?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
Well, a point that I've made to people I've mentored in writing is, why do you think that most of the main characters are male? Why do you think most of the main characters are white? Because you can have a white male be anything you want and no one's going to complain. But if you have a bad guy be black, you're racist. If the bad guy's a woman, you're sexist. If they're gay, you're homophobic. White men are the safest character you can have.
I totally agree that, you know, because there's all this call for a female James Bond. And if you look at like the Casino Royale movie, which was a kind of reboot of Bond, you know, 10 years ago, one of the scenes in that movie is Bond being stripped naked in a torture room as the villain smashes his testicles with a blunt instrument. And I think, you know, like, there's no chance that any director would ever go anywhere near that kind of level of severity with a female James Bond. So automatically, if you switch the gender, you are losing the kind of difficulty, the kind of danger that you can put the character in.
G.I.
yeah,
Jane.
well, Captain Marvel. That was just the worst film, and like, you know, I watch the MCU films with my kids, and I think they're really good. But that one, like, there was no character arc, there was no real difficulties that she faced. She was amazing, and then she found out that she'd always been amazing, and then they stripped her of like a load of powers, and she was even more amazing than before. It's like, where's the kind of human element of, where's the flawed kind of aspect for us to grip onto and go like, yeah, maybe I could be amazing too, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that is such a shame, is the fact that by making these characters so Mary Sue, they actually stop us from emotionally investing in them.
Yeah. And it's
Apparently,
really
it's not
patronising.
apparently it's not an unrealistic image to portray to women, to be completely all-powerful on a universal level no matter what happens. It's not an unrealistic body image, at least, so it's perfectly healthy.
One of the best female-led movies I've ever seen is G.I. Jane, because she basically gets beat up. She's trying to train to be a Navy SEAL, and she shouldn't be at all. But she manages to make it through sheer determination. But there's a scene where they're doing a mock battle, and they've captured all the other soldiers and want them to betray their government. It's a mock battle, and they decide to take her and beat her up, and all of them watching, just to see if they will turn, because they're not supposed to, and playing on their sympathies. Oh, this is a woman, we need to protect her, and they didn't do it. But this whole scene, he's just punching her, kicking her, and it's like, you couldn't do that movie today. I'm not cheering that they did it, but the fact that they did and got away. Go ahead.
So high, wasn't it? She showed her head.
Yeah.
You couldn't make Airplane today because there were a couple of jokes that involved a man punching a woman. Striker was one of the best ones. Striker, 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 and then he turns around and says to this guy, "Striker." So then he strikes a woman, strike her.
Or the
That joke,
hysterical woman they're shaking in the plane and slapping her.
Yeah, that joke I said only works because it's strike her. It only works within the grammar of her, so it has to be a woman getting attacked. But that excuse would never fly these days. It's a woman getting punched as the punchline of a joke, and that's unacceptable.
I once had a conversation with my aunt about domestic violence against men, and saying that there's actually almost as much of it as there is domestic violence against women. And she was like, how could that be possible? Surely we would notice. And I said to her, it can be right in front of your face and you won't see it for what it is. Like, for example, how many times have you seen in a comedy a man says something stupid and a woman slaps him and everybody laughs? Whereas how many times have you seen in a comedy a woman says something stupid and a man slaps her? It doesn't happen because people would recognize that as abuse.
It happens in a black and white drama from the 50s. That's to tell us immediately who the villain is in the story. Slap, and she holds her head there for several seconds.
Exactly as Karen says. Exactly as Karen says, the villain is the man who doesn't respect women, and the hero is the man who does respect women.
I had a conversation very recently on one of these MBTI groups that I'm a part of, and it was a discussion about women being raped and it's such a high number. And I used Kathy Young's Time magazine article for the CDC study that if you put forced to penetrate in the same category as rape, then men and women are raped in equal numbers. And someone responded to me, is that because men are raping other men? Are men forced, like, how, that's your first immediate thought. It's not women are forcing men to have sex with them. It must be men are forcing men to have sex with them. And I really had to talk to her and say, no, these are female perpetrators. And she's like, I just can't imagine how that would be. And not saying that she was being obstinate, it's just she never considered it in her life.
I can imagine Amber Heard doing that.
And now we're all imagining Amber Heard. Thanks. She was out of my brain for a good few days.
I'm imagining her pooping in the bed.
Nice one. I'm going to get even more drunk now.
I have a song. I don't know how it works in terms of songs. How's it working? But I have a song.
Yeah, I've got it. Shall I share screen?
I think your share screen, because of your limited internet, is not that great. Perhaps I should do it sometime.
You want to do it? Who's got the best internet? Because my internet's not brilliant either. So if you want to do it, Chris, then please do.
All right.
James. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah, that was audible enough in the end. It was all right. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, with my audio at all.
Early 80s track.
What year is that song? Let's see. 74. Wow.
Oh.
You did say it had a bit of a ska feel to it, but and I have to say, these days I can't stand Madness. I can't. I can't. It's anything like that. Oh, yeah, I suppose they're all right. I can't. But that was all right. I thought there was a bit, even though it had a bit of the ska feel to it, there was enough to it that was.
Doesn't normally make music like that. It's an outlier.
Oh, okay. My library.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was my audio playing when I was playing that song?
Yeah,
yes, but it was very quiet.
Oh, okay. Sorry for that.
All right.
I guess Elizabeth is not the only incompetent one when it comes to Zoom.
Yeah. Anyway,
I feel like I'll be the only man left here. You know, like if everyone who is bad with technology is a female or old, I'll be the only man left.
What are you insinuating, young man?
WTF, mate.
Not that old.
Everyone is a boomer in the end.
Oh yeah, I'm a boomer at heart.
Yes.
Give us some music.
I gave you some music early today. Did you want to do that one, or did you want me to try something different?
Connections.
I'm sorry?
Whatever you like.
Yeah.
Whatever you like, but I think it'll probably be better if it comes from you because my internet connection's so poor.
Okay, well, remember, I'm doing this from a phone, so I'm probably going to, what I'm going to try and do is point my computer monitor towards the screen, and your guys are going to have to talk. Well, I'm going to turn my phone camera to my computer screen. Okay, I honestly have a song from Threshold in mind, but does anybody know any Threshold?
I've never heard of them till earlier
Did
today.
they have an album called Critical Mass?
Yes, I love the title track. Oh, you want to do all 13 minutes of Critical Mass?
I haven't listened to that in probably about 15 years, but go on then.
You want to do all? Do you want to do Critical Mass? Oh my God!
It's not up to me.
Oh, okay.
I disavow.
Okay, well, let's see.
Otherwise, I'll be like, let's do all 40 minutes of Change of Seasons by Dream Theater.
It's like if you're gonna make your Desert Island disc, it might as well be some of the longest songs you have. Just
exactly,
just so you get your money's worth.
Of the Ring Cycle by Wagner.
Do you want to explain to everyone how this stream came about while we're listening to this?
Yeah, well, like a year ago, it was more than a year ago. It was a year and a half ago when Elizabeth said to me, "Hey, I've got an idea. Desert Island discs, but a bit different. Barren Wasteland discs. It's the the 8 albums that you would bring if you were trapped in a barren wasteland. So there's a certain theme to it. It's like Desert Island discs, but more gloomy. And we went back and forth with this for ages as we both tried to construct our perfect playlist. And you know what it is when music nerds try to construct the perfect playlist. A year and a half later, they still haven't managed to do it. Because you keep doing it and then listening to it and then going, I'll tweak this here and there. No, I don't want that song anymore. I want this one. But yeah, I've still got various versions of this playlist lying around somewhere.
I have a perfect song for that, but it's like 26 minutes long.
No, that is perfect. And you get like, was it 8 tracks? And then we changed it to 10. Because I think I had my perfect 8, and then Elizabeth said, I'm going to change it to 10. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Now I have to start from scratch.
I'll have to put some King Crimson on, Mike.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I saw King Crimson live.
My brother and I, we got into a debate of what was the quintessential 80s song. And we couldn't really agree on what was the one song that really represented music of the 80s.
Take on Me.
That came up.
Right.
Final Countdown.
Yes, I was about to say there's metal that you need to take into account that Take on Me doesn't. But Final Countdown sort of has that glam edge to it as well.
Self-Control by Laura Branigan.
I don't even know.
Oh, that's a banger.
What's going on here?
Cap Mel. I wrote a theme tune for Mr. Dapperton a long time ago, and he called it ANCAP Anthem, which made me cringe.
Did everyone enjoy the Brutus scene?
Sure.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Everyone loves you, Brutus.
It didn't sound like a happy noise, but I assume if it's an automatic noise, it's a happy noise. it just sounds like painful whining, but I don't speak dog, so
it does. But he wags his tail every time. All right.
No different structure than folks. Anyway, I hope my
Pink Floyd had a dog on stage once, didn't they?
yeah,
I'm sorry?
Seamus, the song that little blues ditty they did.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well in a place I used to go in Hull where we used to open mic nights. This dude came down with his dog, and the moment he stopped the music, the dog went, "Arr!" Like they can train themselves to do it at certain times. I don't know if they are trained by their owner to do it, or if there's a certain thing that just happens to trigger any given dog, and there's no predicting what thing that will trigger that dog. But once you figure it out, you've got a stage show.
Is Elizabeth going off for the night?
She disappeared, is she? Well,
probably
maybe
not.
our connection went.
How do I scared her off?
Wait, are you saying there are no women in here anymore? I didn't sign on for this.
Hey! Hey!
Oh,
Hello.
Maddie's still here. My bad.
Depends how you identify, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're an MRA, you're not a woman, not really. So, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants some ANCAP metal? Anyone?
Basically, that's right.
Unfortunately, when you play music, Natty, it doesn't sound very clear.
And if you are a woman, then you're not very beautiful if you're in the MRA. Oh, wait, no. We said earlier that all non-feminist women are very sexy. My bad, I get that mixed up.
Hey, Elizabeth.
She's got the vape out.
I don't know, Elizabeth's image on my screen looked evil.
Okay. Shall I play this song or not?
Play it.
I'm gonna.
Can I just interrupt for a second to say that's me heading off?
Oh, bye.
Um, It's been Elizabeth. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a wonderful experience, and it was really lovely to meet all of you, particularly because I'm quite familiar with a few of your work. DoctorRandomercam, I sent you a message in the chat box just in case you missed that. But it's been a wonderful night, but I'm knackered. So hopefully this won't be the last time we'll do this, and I'll see you all again later. Okay.
Okay, I'll find you on Twitter. Stay alive, I will find you.
Bye, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you.
Hey, I have to call this out. Chris, drinking non-alcoholic beer is not a sign that I'm an alcoholic.
I just don't understand why anyone would drink non-alcoholic beer. I mean, isn't that water?
No, really. The reason why I drink non-alcoholic beer is because I cannot handle drinking just generally with kids. It's just impossible. I don't know how Elizabeth does it. Wink, wink.
It's like in a way you can get psychologically addicted to flavors, because in a lot.
I would.
Oh, look, she's drinking. Sorry. I could go and get some real booze right now, but I'm pregnant, so I can't. But me and James have been drinking non-alcoholic beer for, I don't know, like years now, because we were both drinkers, and we were like, yeah, let's stop being drinkers because that's lame. In terms of when you have kids, I think there are some people that have the makeup to drink and still be functional. I just don't. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I would just be ratty to my kids. And James pretty much came to the same conclusion. And so we've been drinking non-alcoholic beer forever. If anyone ever comes over here, I always offer them non-alcoholic beer, and they always look at me like, what? There's a whole range of different ones out there now, Chris. Like, honestly, they are quite nice. Like, I don't know in America, we've got the one that's the most widely sold in pubs, I guess, is probably because they have a deal with the company, is Beck's Blue, but that one's crap. The ones that are nice, you have to you can buy in the supermarket or in a booze shop, ironically. But there's it's like a booming thing now. If you go on, have a look online, you can find all kinds of different types of non-alcoholic beer, and they taste pretty beer-like.
I'm aware of them. The only one I can think of in America, because I don't really drink that often, is O'Doul's.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
I don't know. I don't drink a non-alcoholic beer at all. So I think O'Doul sounds good. There's also St. Pauli Girl, I think it was. I don't know. I never tried them.
The one I was drinking earlier is where's my camera? My camera's not on. Hang on.
Your camera is not on.
I mean, try non-caffeinated tea and coffee. Like, that's bloody awful.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I don't go that far. James used to buy decaffeinated coffee. Whenever I used to drink it, I used to get a headache, and I don't know.
It's withdrawal symptoms from caffeine. I get this as well if I stop drinking coffee for a couple of days. Loads of people get this. It seems it's almost universal. It's bizarre. It's like 80% of everyone in the world takes caffeine daily, and it has withdrawal symptoms like that. If you stop taking it, you get a fucking headache.
That's right. Natty, what was it? You had like a Heineken? Was it a Heineken you had?
Me? No, this is called, the one I was drinking today is called Perlenbacher. Hang on, where's the camera?
The logo, from a distance, the logo is so similar to Heineken, I almost got fooled.
It is. The font is quite similar to Heineken, yeah.
It's from Lidl. And Lidl is, I don't think you have Lidl in America, but Lidl's a thing here. Lidl's a European supermarket. I don't know, is Lidl German? Thing is, their head office.
It's Scandinavian, I think. It sounds Scandinavian.
The thing is, their head office though is in Wimbledon, or at least So I don't, or maybe the UK head office is in Wimbledon. I don't know. Anyway, my point is that Lidl's like a kind of discount.
Aldi. You'll have Aldi in America, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there
same.
are all these in America. That's right.
It's like Aldi, yeah, but it's a different company. But yeah, so they often have products that look like products that you are familiar with on
Right.
purpose.
Yesterday I had a German beer. I forget the name because complicated German name, like Act something or other. I don't know. It's like a buckwheat flavoring beer that I had yesterday. Pretty good. Today I'm having something by a company called Abel. The stout.
And it's like, I was just about to say, does that say Black Lives Matter on it? But no. It's
Nope. BLKWLF.
It could have
I don't
said
think they'll get
BLM.
away with saying Black Lives Matter, but it's a stout beer.
Yeah. I like stout.
Black Wolf, maybe it is.
Well, BLM beer is that kind of beer where you have to drink it before you realize it tastes good. You have to be drunk first.
Yep.
There's a brewery across the road from me.
Hey.
No, there is.
Do you have brewery restaurants in where you live?
Which restaurant?
Brewery restaurants where they brew their own beer and you can see all the machinery while you're eating?
Not really. You've got there's a pub. There's a pub.
Derby. When I gave that speech in Derby, there was one.
Derby, did you say?
Am I just breaking up?
Yeah.
Yeah, Derby.
There's one in Greenwich, which is Greenwich Meantime Brewery, and then I don't think the brewery's in the pub, but I think it's next door, maybe, or round nearby. So I've never been to a place where the brewery is right there, in the restaurant. But I do live across the road, pretty much from Wimbledon Brewery, and oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Is that doxing myself? Whatever. But that's not a restaurant.
We're pre-recording it. Cut that out, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not a restaurant though. They're a brewery, and then they have a kind of bar. It's not a real bar. It's kind of like an add-on to their office. I don't know. It's a bar, but it's not. It's on a business park. It's not very. It's not a proper pub. Let's put it that way.
Is it like not a restaurant, right?
No, it's not a restaurant. It's just it is a bar, but I'm just saying that it's not on the high street. It's not in an accessible place. It's in a business park. So.
Right. Yeah. Because right here in the Twin Cities, there's a Surly Brewing Company that's also a bar and a restaurant. So.
And you say the Twin Cities? Do you mean Minnesota and St. Paul, or is there another Twin City?
I'm in St. Paul. Yep. Yeah. The original protests happened really close to me. Walking distance. Gas station had fire damage, so both my wife and I were like freaking the hell out. And I didn't feel better until a friend took me to a gun range so I can shoot guns.
How long did that go on for?
Holy crap! So the first bit of protest happened. First day is in Minneapolis. The second day, it started spilling over to St. Paul, where I was at, and I was actually on the road, and I was actually seeing some looting happening in some what do you call them, convenience stores on my way. Businesses were already boarded up because they didn't want the violence and stuff like that. So I was like, wait, everybody's closed? What the hell? And I was kind of slowly realizing what the heck was happening. So yeah, it was very tense. Like people were just hanging out of their cars trying to protest, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, what else can I say? It was really tense.
Did it go on for more than 2 weeks?
Yeah. Well, about that, yeah.
I just saw a meme that I thought was really appropriate to everything that's going on. It's from They Live, and Roddy Piper sees BLM signs on a business, and then he puts on the glasses, and the signs say, "Don't attack our business."
Black-owned business, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're basically just like putting up the propaganda, so hopefully the protesters don't attack their business.
There's this photo going around, not just on Twitter, but all over the place, of the riots that happened recently in some American city with this storefront with a big banner on it saying "Racism has no place here." Every window is broken through.
I saw that exact thing.
Yeah, I saw a picture of a store that had something similar to that, and it was still broken into.
We're on your side. We're on your side. Smash.
Don't be an accuser. Never be an accuser. I'm eating peanuts, by the way.
Trying times.
Oh, for God's sake!
But so often.
By the way, Ryan McCann, I sent you a private message on here. I don't know if you got it.
Hang on. Okay, hang on. I'll just click that link.
You know, one of the funniest things about some of the graffiti that's been happening, you know, everybody's saying like anything from Black Lives Matter to George Floyd to I Can't Breathe. Some people put hearts by the I Can't Breathes. So it just kind of made me think somebody's going to get the wrong message when they read that.
Well, maybe, but I think it's kind of like on Facebook now that now you can give the heart emoji to a message, and it's like, are you saying you love what I'm doing, or you love?
Oh, that's exactly it.
It
sounds like erotic asphyxiation to me. I'm eating peanuts right now with my drinks because it's a Japanese tradition. It's good to have something to eat.
Southern tradition.
British tradition
Really?
too. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's everybody's tradition, and fine. But, you know, it's good to have something to eat while you're having something to drink. I'm just inebriated enough to talk about that.
Appropriated it.
Get some pork scratchings, doing you, man.
So use some money for that tradition.
If you want to try an interesting Zen exercise, try eating one peanut.
Here, one peanut.
It's so hard. It's impossible.
One peanut. There's another peanut. One peanut.
Eating one peanut and then not eating a second peanut. It's like eating one pistachio and then not eating a second one.
How hard is that, eating one bag of peanuts?
Stupid.
How hard is that?
Just one
bag?
I also have rye whiskey here. I think I had gin over there in the other room. I got some scotch too, but I'm going to save that for a few years.
I resent that.
It's been a long time since I heavily drank. I think the last time was a few years ago. I was doing it for the anniversary of my disability. I drank a whole bottle of, I forget what exactly. I think it was rum.
Yeah, the most drunk I've ever been is when I went to it was a Radiohead concert in Victoria Park, and the drummer from our band is this guy called Fernando from some Central American country, El Salvador, and he had just come back from El Salvador, and he brought as a present he brought me a half bottle of rum, like a 300 ml bottle of rum or something. And you can't take glass bottles into Victoria Park. So we were there queuing up, and I'm like, I can't throw this away. Not only is it this much rum, but it was a present. It would be rude to throw it away. So I necked the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it when you get that drunk, it becomes euphoric. It's like a completely different drug. I remember just sitting in the grass, laughing my arse off staring up at this beautiful sky because Radiohead was playing, doing their gloomy music, and it was a typical gloomy, grey, cloud-ridden sky. But it just all seemed like paradise to me. I was just laughing my ass about everything. It's I wouldn't recommend it.
I once drank 10 pints of Guinness, and that was the weirdest drunk I've ever been in my life. I just kind of, I was almost hallucinating. I was having kind of weird, I cycled home as well, like that, and I was sort of like cycling down the road going, da, 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 like in this weird world. I don't know what was going on exactly, I can't remember, but all I remember is not feeling like I wasn't on this earth anymore. I was in a different plane, and it was only Guinness that made me feel like that.
Yeah, with every drug, there's 4 kinds of dose: a small dose, a medium dose, a large dose, and a far too much dose. Not many people really experience the far too much dose, not even on alcohol.
I guess 10 Guinness is enough for it to be like that.
Because if you ever do, you're very likely to black out and forget everything. The only reason I remembered my rum instance because so much of it happened so quickly, and I was able to remember some of the emotional effects before most of it just started fogging out. Yeah.
We're getting some live music here.
Give us some Keith Emerson then.
Yeah.
It's tempting to get out the guitar, but if you've ever tried jamming with lag, it is impossible.
Yeah,
it is a pain, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. I was feeling inebriated and have to pull out the keyboard, do something.
Whoa, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe people in the future will invent some kind of music where the musicians don't play in unison but in canon, so that it works with an internet lag.
Internet lag music. Someone needs to invent this.
I'm trying to make a solo album out composed entirely of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Well, I got a recorder somewhere around here.
Oh no. Oh no.
That sucked.
Oh, Elizabeth, you sound like a robot.
Yeah, no. Rhythm is not an option when there's internet lag, so you just got to try and do.
All right, fine, I'll join in.
Atmospheric prog.
Basically. I decided one day to just make just keyboard music and sell it. I finished 5 tracks. I need to do 3 more.
Well, you know, my favorite movie is Sound Checks. And And Elizabeth is giving me a dirty look.
Two. Click on it, it'll you too bad night.
Oh man, buzzes a lot.
Did you say nothing? What?
Yeah, you're mostly robo, Elizabeth.
Say
Sorry.
what?
Type in the chat.
Something about a melting hobo.
I'm going to order some Subway.
I'm done playing around.
I think my mic's too far away from my amp. It's maybe for the best, for everybody's sake.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch my keyboard off. It's not great.
ABBA? You want us to play ABBA? What?
Do Summer Night City.
I genuinely want everyone to play ABBA and hear some ABBA.
Which one? Which song?
It's called The Visitors.
The only one I know is
So basically, go on.
sorry, the only one I can remember is Does Your Mother Know?
That's a good tune.
I mean, in theory, I
That
know
is a
Super
good
Troopers, but I
tune.
keep forgetting the chords.
But basically, like, I've always quite liked ABBA for their hits. And then recently I watched a documentary about them and I discovered the song Tiger from the first album Arrival, which is fucking awesome. It's like these girls, you know, their angelic voices, and they're talking about how they're gonna get and then, well, no, I was looking for the album that had one with when they're so I can't remember what it's called, but it's very like chill out and cool. And I listened to it on an album and Despair and Ice. The track is called The Visitors, and it's breakdown, and it's fucking mad that I've sent it to Matt and I said to play it, and I am robot.
This was a song you showed me before, right, Elizabeth?
As the sun lopsided and the birds fly sideways in the shape of the sky with a heavenly smile.
Well, I'm going to leave in about 10 minutes. I need to go get some lunch.
Oh, everyone's going.
I'm still staying.
Okay, good. You see, it's Friday night. It's midnight. This is my rock and roll time, sort of.
So if someone else wants to start recording and do like part 2.
Robot. I don't know what you said.
The sound is awful. What did you just say?
What are you talking about?
That's what I like to ask you.
I got a package.
I did?
Karaoke! That's what she's talking about.
Cool.
Elizabeth wants to do, I want to go to a karaoke night.
I would love to do karaoke again. I haven't done it in such a long time.
I feel like we should tribute to Mark Angelucci. Lucci, sorry, I can't say Italian there. I don't know if you heard that story that Paul said that when he hung out with Mark, he did karaoke with him. I feel like we should tribute.
Yeah, I know that story.
What was the song he said that he sang? I can't remember.
Big
it
balls.
was something like that. Was it? Yeah, we should
Yep.
do that. We should do a tribute. That would be cool. No, there is a venue near my house that's it's a very small kind of theatre place, and they do karaoke like maybe every couple of months or something. And I proposed to Elizabeth that we try to hire it because it's really small and it's independent, and it therefore won't be that expensive, and it's a nice spot. I mean, clearly if it's by my house, I'm being selfish, but it just so happens that I thought that it would work. It would be a nice private place to do something, but clearly because of lockdown, it's not open yet. I mean, other pubs are open now, but the theatres are not. This place is not open yet. So I haven't had any answers from them. I don't know. Anyway, there are some kind of central London places that are like karaoke bars that you suggested, Elizabeth. I don't know, but I would love to try and organise it. Oh, God. I can't understand you.
I would love to go do karaoke in the UK. For once, women would find my singing voice sexy.
Have you got a good singing voice?
No.
Oh.
But, you know, I've done New Divide by Linkin Park at karaoke places, and I've gotten standing ovations. So I put a lot into it, but I make up for my lack of singing.
I only do karaoke if it's in a silly voice. Like I'll pick an inappropriate song and I'll do something either really high pitched or really low pitched or some weird Muppet voice. I refuse to take karaoke seriously.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good strategy. What's that song? When I used to work in nightclubs and stuff, we used to do, there was a bit of a routine where people that worked in hospitality there was a spot that did karaoke. It was like a pool place, a pool hall, and they also did parties in there, and they would do karaoke on a Sunday, and it was popular with people that worked in bars and hospitality and clubs and things because, you know, when do they get to go out? Well, they go out on a Sunday or a Monday, right? And so we used to go, and I used to do this song with this guy all the time. And what was it called? And really high pitched. You just reminded me. Oh man, it's gonna come back to my head. Oh, sorry. I built up that and then I forgot.
Boo! Sometimes a surprise makes you remember. Oh, I'm thinking of hiccups. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, Elizabeth, like, I don't know who's going to be up for it, but, you know, if me and Elizabeth turn up, that's enough. Woo!
I mean, I'm a whole ocean away, but I'll see what I can do.
Same here.
Man. We can zoom you in. We can zoom you in on the day. You could be Oh, so annoying. I forgot where it is.
You're freeze frame for a moment, and now you're growling.
Just type. Just type, bitch.
Is anyone else turned on by Elizabeth growling?
Hey, man. Come party at my house. I've had so many people stay here now. Randomercam's been here.
Yeah, I've been to loads of people's houses. It's amazing how many people I've met in the wider movement. I think I've met more than anyone else, which is weird for considering what a social wallflower I am.
I've met a couple of people from the movement. I'd like to meet more, though. But unfortunately, the best ones are in UK. Sorry for anyone in the US.
Oh, burn.
Yeah, burn for me.
Yeah, burn.
To be fair, I'm a newcomer, so.
I wish I'd stayed in Chicago much longer. I left like straight away. I wish I'd stayed like a few days, more days. That would have been cool. I know you weren't there, Chris, but I'm just saying that I would have. That would have been really cool. I don't know when. I really don't know when that's ever going to happen again. I mean, the state things are in. I mean, we can't fucking travel, really. I don't know.
It's a good thing this COVID thing happened this year and not last year. Imagine if it happened in like June of 2019, that would have been perfect timing.
That's right.
Well,
and I also, I'm not being paranoid, but I also think that we will eventually get to the point where, I mean, it's already happened with other people in other areas who are activists and stuff, where telling the authorities what we're associated with just will bar us entry into, you know, the Americas or where else. You know, like, I know that sounds a bit.
Yeah, no, ever since that incident with Alison at the Canadian-American border, next time I went to the States after that, I got ushered into the Customs and Excise room. I had to have a quick chat with a couple of people behind the desk, and they were like, "So who's Alison?" And I'm like, "Alison Tiemann." Yes, Alison Tiemann. Like they've still got me on some kind of list associated with some kind of list that they've got Alison on, which is unrelated to anything else, because they're just wary of people crossing the border, bringing too much shit, and we were carrying like one of Alison's art installations, which involved a big old trailer full of foam bricks and stuff. So it did look sort of dodgy.
Well,
the thing is, what I was concerned with was the ESTA visa that you fill out to come to the US. It has a section that says if you're coming here for a business purpose or something, please share with us your website and your social media. And I was like, hell no. Well, why do you need my social media? I didn't say anything. I didn't tell them anything. But I just think that we are walking into a very near future where we will have to, they will have all this information already about us. Anyway.
Well, I need to go, but I want to say something real quick. You know, go and buy my book, so maybe next time we have a meeting, I can actually go.
That's quite right. I do need to buy your book, Chris.
I'll definitely consider it myself.
In fact, I will do it right now. Right here.
Well, I'll put a link in the chat if you want me to.
I haven't even read Neil Linden's book yet, and I'm in it. He released it a few months ago, and I haven't read it yet. It's on my to-do list, and I've just completely forgotten.
Well, don't worry, the book's not written yet. I'm in the process of doing that now. But yeah, I do want to meet.
Oh, no, we're talking about your fundraising, though, right?
Yeah, it still is going on for 7 days, so got a week left. Please let me get to 1,000. But yeah, you know, I've no clue what I'm going to say, so I'm just going to say goodbye because I do really need to go.
Okay.
But it was great chatting with all of you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing me on. For those following me on Facebook, you'll know that I've kind of needed this. This was a nice pick-me-up, and it was great meeting all of you. Vernon, I hope I run into you again if you ever want to talk about some of this stuff. I'm a great wealth of information.
Absolutely. You're the guy behind the Honey Badger Radio Discord, right?
Oh, no, I haven't been with the
No? Oh, okay, sorry, I'm confusing it with someone else, but still, I would love to talk to you.
Okay, well, just ask Elizabeth or Natty. They can get you in touch with my Facebook.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
No.
Okay, don't ask Natty. She can't get you in touch with my Facebook. I don't know. And,
sorry, I'm
so
still flying. Okay.
And Natty, it's such a privilege to talk to you. You're a lot of joy.
Thank you, darling.
And Tailed, you're also a lot of fun, and I hope to talk to you again.
I'm always in the PM, mate. You can always PM me. Remember that.
And I will upload this, what I've recorded, onto YouTube somewhere. So if someone wants to start recording now and do like a part 2 version of it, because once I leave, I'll stop recording. So
it was great talking to you.